Hi, this is Iris at the Polyform Products Design Center, and I'm here today to show you how to make a bangle bracelet on an elastic cord. It's really an easy, fun technique, and what I want to explain to you is that we're not going to go into great detail on creating the veneers for the bracelet. It's more about creating the bracelet, although we will cover the techniques slightly. So let's get started. The first thing that we want to do is create these fun little dots that are used on the divisions of the veneer. In other words, you can have a makumagane veneer, a striped veneer, a different kind of makumagane veneer, and the divisions are covered with these little dots. You don't have to do this, but they are fun to create. So I've rolled out a sheet of clay and I've made sure that it's stuck down on my tile pretty good. And then I'm going to use the smallest etch and pearl tool. It has this concave end that creates the best little dots. I'm going to dunk the end of the etch and pearl tool in the water as a release, and then I'm just going to twirl it around in the clay. Just like that. This bracelet that we're looking at today, created by Jennifer Brazing, has them in all different colors. You can make them all the same. But what should happen right now is that the dots should stay down. There we go. And the excess comes off. Now what I usually do is I go around the edges of this and clean them up a little bit. Just like that, and I bake the dots right on the tile. When they're done, we have these adorable little dots, just like that. Okay, the next thing that we want to create for our bracelet are the veneers of the stripes. And this is done with a stack of clay, different dimensions, and if you want the exact dimensions used here, please refer to the Sculpey.com website, and it'll tell you exactly what thicknesses each one of these stripes is. This is the thicker sheet, and this is the thinner sheet. We used both of these for the veneers. And basically, you can do this in any colors. You could do this bracelet in any patterns. We're just going to give you an idea of how to do it this way. The next thing we're going to create are the two different makumagane sheets. And first we're going to start with a makumagane stack. Then by the magic of video, we're going to put a pattern in them. I'll show you how to do this. It's pretty easy. I'm going to take a texture sheet, and as always, we're going to spray it with a little water as a release. We're going to put it down, and I usually start it by pressing it down with my fingers, and then I come in with an acrylic roller, and I really press in. I like the pattern pretty deep. Here we go, this should be fine. Okay? This one I have here is a little deeper, so I'm going to show you how to do it on this one. Now, what we're aiming for is a sheet of makumagane that use the entire sheet. We're going to take off an entire layer here, and another sheet where we've rolled out a solid color and put the remains that we shave off onto it. So you get two different looks. One is a solid look, and one is a look with a backing. So let me show you how you do that. I'm going to be using the flexible blade of the Super Slicer and just taking off layers of the clay. Then I'm going to take these pieces and I'm going to layer them right on this sheet of blue clay. And on my other sheet here, I'm just going to keep shaving away until I have an entire sheet of Makumagane. Now once again, for the Makumagane technique, you can look on Sculpey.com and find out how to do it. You can do it in these colors, or you can do it in a color of your choice. So what we'll have is the full sheet. I usually roll this with the acrylic roller after I take off the entire layer, just to make sure it's nice and flat. And I also backed this on another sheet. You can see right here, I backed it on a solid sheet of gold. Okay, so we have this layer, we have the striped layers, and I want to make sure that these layers are all about the same thickness. And then we also have the layer with the Makumagane shavings on the blue, and I'm going to just flatten this out so it looks nice. And I'm going to trim it up so we'll be able to use it. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is create the center of the bracelet. And I have a plug of scrap clay. It's about 2 inches by about 1 inch. And the reason we want to start with such a small plug of clay is because we want to make sure that we get the hole for the bracelet, and this is the hole that's going to go throughout the entire bracelet. We want to get that hole centered. Okay. This is just an ordinary wooden skewer that you can buy at the grocery store. And what we're going to do is just roll this plug. This is going to be the center of the bracelet. And then we're going to cover this with the veneers. I want to do this slowly so it stays pretty even. But one thing that's extremely important is that you want to keep rolling the skewer to make sure that it stays nice and loose. The skewers are sometimes have flat sides, and if you don't keep rolling them in the clay, they can get stuck, and we don't want that. And what we're going to do is make the inside of the bracelet pretty much the length of the skewer. You'll be able to adjust it to your wrist size, and you just want to keep checking it and make sure that it's even all the way around. Okay, that's pretty good. And what I do is I usually take the super slicer and make the ends nice. I don't know why, but I do. Okay, and once again, want to make sure that the skewer is able to go in and out and twist around. The next thing we're going to do is put a veneer on this messy piece of clay. And I usually start with the center piece, and it has a nice flat edge. This is kind of like creating a bullseye cane. We're going to wrap it around, and what you want to do is make sure that it comes in contact and there are no air bubbles. And just like a bullseye cane, you're going to roll it until you get that cute little mark, and you're going to cut it right there, and you're going to fit it together. Now, one thing that you're going to do that's very important is you're going to keep all of the seams on the same side. And the reason that you do that is those seams are going to be on the inside of the bracelet, so you don't see them. Okay, keep them nice and straight and flatten this out nicely. You know, you might want to thin out the bracelet a little bit. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is add one of the striped pieces. You want to start the seam in the same place. Okay, just wrap it around. Just like you did with the Makumagane piece, you're going to roll it until you get that little mark. Cut it off. What's great is that the clay is so forgiving. Okay, I basically have my seams at the same spot. And now I'm going to add my thinner stripe on this side. Once again, you're going to roll it around. Seams in the same spot until you come together. Trim it. Right along here is inside. Now, the bracelet here is kind of a stylized triangle. You can make it a circle, you can make it an oval. You know, if we want to make it that kind of shape. Let me trim off these edges. And the other thing is that you want to make sure the bracelet fits your wrist. So that's something that's going to be up to you. And I'm going to be making it very similar to the one here. Okay, so you have a bracelet with a hole in the center. You're going to cut it right here so it's easier to go on your hands. And you're also going to create a little bead here if you want. You don't have to. You could trim these so they match, but the bead just adds a little extra interest. And what you want to do is create a bead that's the same diameter as the bracelet. Let me see if this is, yeah, it should be about right. Okay, you can make it into a triangle shape right here so it fits in here. One thing I want to tell you is that once the bracelet comes out of the oven, you can still trim the edges, you can make them match differently, putting a little hole in the bracelet right in this bead, excuse me, right here. So this fits right in there. And then I'm going to bake it in the oven. When it comes out, you could polish it, you could sand it, you could leave it just the way it is, you could put a glaze on it, but you have the basics of how to make the bracelet. One additional explanation. The cord used in the bracelet, and it's really easy to go in the bracelet because the hole is nice and big, is an elastic that you buy in the sewing department of your craft store. It's just like an elastic kind of covered with some cording, and this will fit right in. So I hope you enjoyed the explanation of how to make a Bangle bracelet on an elastic cord. It's really fun. So often we learn techniques and then we say to ourselves, what am I going to do with this? This is a great way to use a striped cane, makumagane, 2 different kinds of makumagane. You can do it with mica shift. You could do it with cane pieces, but this is the basic of how to make the bracelet. And don't forget, for all the details on how thick all the layers should be and what colors we used in this bracelet, please refer to Sculpey.com and see all the other great projects there. Thanks for joining me today.